Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where we are currently heading off to Eeloo. Well, we're technically in orbit of Kerbin here. We haven't headed off anywhere just yet. So we need to, of course, do that, and we want to burn sometime around here, prograde, and that should push us out... Am I thinking about this the wrong way? I might be. That should, in theory, push us out away from the sun, right? Away from Kerbal? Yes, that is correct. Okay, so we're just going to push out, as we usually do, to about the orbit of Dress or so, to about here. That'll be 2,128 meters per second, and that is absolutely fine. Let's get aligned to that. It's going to take a little while to get turned, but actually we're not needing to go all that far, and our turn speed isn't that bad. So this should be completely fine. And once again, if for whatever reason we end up needing additional fuel, we can always dock up another one of these guys and just refuel. It's not a big deal, but we should not need additional fuel. We're going to Eeloo. I have no concerns about this. We should be completely and totally fine. So we're just getting turned right on over. We've got about 28 minutes to do this. We'll have plenty of time. No doubt about that. This turn is not going to take 28 minutes. Even though we do still have like 500 tons of fuel down here. It's a lot of weight. No doubt about it. That's the majority of our weight. But we're going to burn that fuel off, and that will be fantastic. Of course, we're not exactly in a circularized orbit, but we had a mildly awkward launch. But everything in this game is mildly awkward, so it seems good. The good news, however, is that now that I have discovered this menu right here, this, of course, means that we can much more easily do simulations for our landing on Eve and figure out things like thrust to weight and how we're going to do the landing and how we're going to do the liftoff and all that fun stuff. We don't need to worry because of our lathe experience. We know that we don't need to worry, in theory, about landing in water. I know it's not water on Eve, it is explodium, and probably lighting a rocket engine in it is not the best of ideas, but I don't think that's actually a thing. So we're going to get into position here, and that will be absolutely fine. So we're almost turned. I'm going to call this close enough, and we're going to warp on over. And then we'll have like 40-ish seconds once we get there to get aligned the rest of the way, which should be plenty. Not too concerned about that one. Okay, so we've got about 40 seconds, as expected. That sounds good. So we're going to light up this engine as soon as it's time. It's getting very close, and to be honest, if we were to light the engine now, it wouldn't be a marked difference from what we're going to have in 30 seconds. It's not going to be a significant change, but I'll still wait. We've got about a 5-minute burn ahead of us here, so that is certainly going to be a lengthy one. Let's warp forward a little bit here, 20 seconds, 10, and 3, 2, 1, mark. There we go. Cool. So, let's see if we are having any bugs with our time acceleration. Looks like the answer is no right now. So we're going to take this up to 10x. Fantastic. It will be a fairly lengthy burn. We've got 4 minutes left. Cool. So off we go to Eeloo. Once we get out there, we're going to probably... Well, the question is, where's the ascending and descending node going to be? That is absolutely a major question here. So we'll see. We've got about 1 minute and 20 seconds left in this burn. Now 1 minute, 40 seconds, 30, 20, 10, and 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and mark. We're going to call that good. So this is about where we expected to be on remaining Delta V at this point. That's excellent. And we're going to get rid of this maneuver. Thank you very much. We do not need that anymore. So let's get zoomed out over here. Let's set Eeloo as our target. There we go. And the question is, what's our ascending and descending node going to be looking like? So, let's position ourselves just outside of the Kerbal system here. Off we go. Goodbye, Kerbal. Okay, where's that ascending and descending node? So ascending node is here. Okay, so the descending node is going to be here. 6.3 degrees. Sure. Other direction. Okay, so we're going to do something like this, just bringing ourselves into plane here. This is about... yeah, about here. This is about 500 meters per second. That's not too bad. Excellent. We're going to need to get turned to that. That'll be a roughly 90-degree turn. However, we've burned off the vast majority of our fuel here. We currently have about 85-ish tons of fuel left in that tank. It's still a decent amount, but we're definitely turning faster. No doubt about that. So that is all looking good. We'll just need to get turned here, and we've got, like, years to do this, I think. I think this is further than 311 days away. It might be 311, actually. Maybe. I'm not 100% certain. We'll see. Wow, this is a really weird angle. Okay. I don't know why it puts us at minimum zoom every time I enter and exit the map. That is very irritating, but unfortunately it does, and we just have to live with it until we get this series completed. And we'll see if there's ever a single additional KSP2 patch. To be honest, at this point I don't expect it. I think if they were going to continue working on it, they would have said something. So, I think that's pretty obvious. So this is likely going to be the final KSP2 series. This is also the first KSP2 series, but the game is not exactly in a fantastic state, right? So, yeah. We'll see if we feel like coming back to KSP2. I mean, maybe mods fix it in a few years. Who knows? But to be honest, I suspect that modders are going to continue to work on KSP1. We'll see. So we're almost done with this turn here, and we'll start our warp fairly soon. I just want to continue the turn here for a little longer. This is all looking decent. Very, very close here, but we need more turning. Did we get the solar panels over here extended? Yes, we did. Okay, just wanted to double check that. That is absolutely fine. Also, Kerbal just chilling right over here. Excellent. We're going to be warping, and Kerbal is going to not be there anymore in just a moment. Let's go. Goodbye, Kerbal. I like how it just went into the distance and stayed on the same position on the screen. I expected it to pan off of the screen, but no, that's not what happened. Beautiful. So now, of course, we have 4 hours till this burn. We're going to continue to push forward. Now we've got 2 minutes. Okay. 1 minute, 10 seconds, and 3, 2, 1, mark. Excellent. So this is a 43-second burn, and we're just going to get our inclination in plane, roughly, with that of Elu. Excellent. Then we may circularize at the apoapsis. We'll see where Elu will be if we attempt to rendezvous out over here, but judging by the fact that it's over here right now, I don't think that's going to be a thing. So we're probably not going to end up actually getting a rendezvous over here. It'll probably end up being like up here or something. I'm not entirely sure, but it'll be a little while, for sure. So we've still got about 20 seconds of burn time left here. Of course, we're down to a small amount of DV left in this first tank. This isn't shocking. We're in a pretty decent orbit for it, but we're definitely going to want to do some level of circularization, and a transfer over to Elu is going to happen on our nuclear engines, for sure. Imagine if we put a second stage on this thing. 3, 2, 1. And we're going to call that good. I overshot it ever so slightly, but we're at 0.0. So that looks fine. So now if we go up to the apoapsis and we were to burn prograde here, and of course, we're going to have to get into stage 2 for that. This is going to be a fair amount of DV, but if we were to push this out, this would be, yeah, it would be up over here. I'm not surprised about that one at all. Let's pull this back and just circularize it up. Something along the lines of this. We're going to have to burn this DV anyway. We may as well do it here and get ourselves into a little bit more manageable of an orbit. And we're probably going to angle to be somewhere up over here or so for our rendezvous, as I said. To that end, would we be better off burning more like here or so and just going for it? That'd be about 2 kilometers per second. It would need a... This is covering the maneuver node. It would be a pretty hefty braking burn, I feel like. Okay. The timing is not perfect here, but it's pretty close. Okay, something along the lines of this? Was that an encounter? I believe it was. Yes, it was. So something kind of like that. What is that encounter? Okay, I mean, Elu is very, very small. So that is not a fantastic encounter. We could dial that in a little bit, but we're almost certainly going to have some issues actually hitting this. That is noted. We can pull this guy down about like this, and then bring it in just a wee bit closer. This is incredibly sensitive at this point, so hitting this is going to be a bit challenging, for sure. Ooh, yeah, that overshot it pretty severely. Something about like this, in theory. It's not perfect, but that would definitely do the trick. Okay, and I mean, that's going to be a lot faster than what I had originally planned. We can go for that. We don't have to do like full orbits or anything, so this is reasonably fine. We can get turned into position for it, and that will certainly be a thing. It'll take a little while to get turned, but not too bad. This is, again, about a 90-degree turn or so. However, this will definitely be a bit on the challenging side. Reason being, we'll have to hit this very precisely. Very, very precisely. It's going to be very interesting. We'll almost certainly have to dial it in a bit and keep a close eye on what we've got going on there. So we're about halfway done with our turn for this burn, and the burn is in 135 days. We're skipping the circularization portion of it, and we're just heading straight to Elu. So that will certainly be very interesting. I'm wondering about this first transit. That's going to be in 17 years. And this encounter, well, when is this periapsis going to be? 6 years? Okay, yeah, that's more like it. It does take a while to get out here. No doubt about that. But that is okay. So we're almost in position for this turn. It feels like we have slowed down our turning a little bit, but this is, I guess, reasonably fine. It's going to be about a 2-minute burn overall. And it will, of course, have a staging event in it. So that is reasonably fine. We'll hop back over here. And we're almost lined up for this turn now. We're going to warp to maneuver starting right about now, I think is close enough. So that'll be perfect. We're about 3 hours away. We'll continue to warp. about 3 minutes away. There we go. That's a little better. We'll continue to warp in 2 minutes, 1 minute, and 30 seconds. 20, 10, and 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. Okay. So we're going to have a staging event here shortly, and we're going to get rid of this first stage at long last. This engine has carried us a very long ways indeed. We can still eke out another 80 meters per second out of it, and so we shall. 30 meters per second, 20, 10, and we are out. Nuclear engines are online. Excellent. So now we're going to hop over to Elu here. We need to be able to see our resulting orbit. So we're going to hop in here and keep a close eye out for when we get close. Although we're not particularly close right now, we've got another 1.5 minutes to burn here. So that is looking absolutely fine. We've got about 5 kilometers per second here, and then we've got another 16 kilometers per second in our center core. So that is not particularly bad. We've got plenty of DV to make it out to Elu and do our braking burn and do our landing burn and take off and get back into orbit, and from there we don't care anymore. So that should be absolutely fine. Now it looks like we have a particular location here that we want to land, in specific right here. And that should be pretty easy to do in theory, since there's no atmosphere on Elu. So that should be fine. We've still got about another minute on this burn. This is not going down at 1 second per second. Okay. Well, it's going to take a little while. That's fine. 50 seconds in theory. And of course, we're ever so slightly off on this because we tossed in a little bit of normal burn, or anti-normal, I think it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was an anti-normal burn. So we're slightly off of here, and that is completely expected. It is a slightly more complicated burn than just pure prograde, but it is mostly prograde, like 99.9% prograde. So we've got about 40 seconds left on this burn. And that is looking good. 35 seconds. Man, this feels excruciatingly long, and I don't know why. But I mean, time in this game is very strange, right? Sometimes time ticks at, well, time speed, at 1 second per second, and sometimes it slows way down. And I think that's due to the optimization of the game. It's not particularly optimized. So I think things just bog down very easily in KSP2. We've got 20 seconds left in this burn. And now we've got 15. Yep. Definitely going a little slower than 1 second per second. No doubt about that. But the delta V amounts appear to be about what I expected to see. So that is good. And we've got about 7 seconds left. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm cutting the engine early. You might ask why. The answer is because I want to come in at lower thrust. So we're burning at 20% thrust right now. We're overshooting. Intriguing. Okay, so I believe that we have overshot right now. Let's take a look at what's happening up here. We're angling for this encounter here. So the current distance from target is significant. Yeah, that's going up. So we need to go around to retrograde here. We have overshot this. There was just no indicator whatsoever that we had passed the target. And that's one thing I don't like about the KSP2 maneuver system. KSP1's maneuver system gives you the exact amount of delta V remaining, which is a lot more useful than that bar that just goes down and then starts to fill up again once you've overshot. It's just a lot more user-friendly. Well, let's hop over to retrograde here. We're going to need to back off a little bit, because we definitely have quite a bit of distance from target here. So this is fine. We could maybe burn anti-target, but I think retrograde is absolutely fine here, in theory. Okay, we are basically aligned retrograde. And let's pull this back. 9 million kilometers. 8 million. 7 million kilometers. 6 million kilometers. 5 million. 4 million. 3 million. 2 million kilometers. Hang on. What is happening here? Do we have an intersection right now? No, we do not. Okay, I think we might have had one briefly there. We're at 1.2 million kilometers and going down still. Okay, maybe we didn't have one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hop back in here, and I'm going to turn off these engines, because we need very, very sensitive movements here, right? So we're going to drop this guy down to like 10% thrust. And we're only running this center engine at this point. Okay, so we're going to zoom back out here. I'm going to pin this guy open. We're going to focus on ELU. And we're going to zoom in here to where we can actually see what's going on and have the intersection on screen at the same time. And we're just going to work on dialing this in a little bit. So we're about 300,000 kilometers away right now. 250. Losing efficiency. Okay. So this is as close as we're going to get with retrograde. Let's head over to anti-normal and see if that is what we need. I'm not 100% certain, but we're just going to test this real quick. So over we go to anti-normal. And a relative speed of 858 meters per second is not bad. That's actually very good. Okay, so anti-normal. I think anti-normal is probably not the way we want to go now that I think about it. Maybe. Maybe. Let's find out. Yeah, this is the wrong way. So we want to go to normal. That is fine. We're going to have to flip 180 degrees here, but that's okay. We just need to dial this in a little bit. And that is absolutely fine. This is currently reading 11,248 meters per second. Hilarious. That number is not accurate, of course. We have much more than that. It's just very confused. Cool. So over we go to normal. And once we arrive at normal, we'll just try to dial this in a little more. If we have to do radial burns, we will, but I would prefer not to. I'd prefer to just dial this in with normal and prograde retrograde. Radial burns are not ideal, but we can do it that way. Okay, so here we are basically at normal, and let's just bring that on down. That's not going down very fast. $200 kilometers. It feels like we're losing efficiency there. $180, $170, $160, $150. Maybe we're not losing efficiency. Maybe it's just a little more DV than I expected. $130, $120, and now we actually have an encounter. Beautiful. We're just bringing that on in. We definitely need to get some normal going here. No doubt about that. So we're just going to bring this to being in plane. So the line should be crossing this line. And then we can go back to either prograde or retrograde. I think it's going to be prograde to push us towards the planet here. But we are definitely going to be losing efficiency here very soon. About there or so is where we want to be. So now we want to flip over to prograde. 14,000 kilometers is, well, 15,000 really, isn't too bad. Let's just bring this right on over to prograde. We'll dial that in a little closer. So yeah, it's the way that the maneuver node displays information in KSP2 makes these sorts of extremely precise maneuvers very difficult to do in KSP2 compared to KSP1. We're better off fine-tuning it without the maneuver node and just doing it by gut, which is insane. That is absolutely bonkers. Okay, let's head in a little bit here. Ooh, that's sensitive. Okay. $203 kilometers. It's very close. I think we can get a little bit more normal in there. But that is very close to being what I consider to be good enough. We definitely want, I think, to thrust limit this down a little further. So we're going to bring this from 10% down to 1% thrust. Okay. And yeah, these sorts of very, very minute corrections, they are a lot easier to do in KSP1 with maneuvers. Maneuvers are so much easier to hit precisely in KSP1 just because of having the exact DV numbers, which you don't have in KSP2 for some reason. So let's burn a little bit normal here, raising this guy up ever so slightly. About like that or so. Yeah, this is pretty equatorial here, so that should be relatively fine. And then we can bring this in prograde a little bit closer, dropping this down to maybe around 50 kilometers or so. Will be our target altitude for now. Actually, maybe like 30 would be better, but I'm not sure what orbital velocity over Elu is. We'll judge that. But for now, I do want to get a little bit more prograde in here. I want to drop this periapsis down slightly. So we're going to get up to the prograde marker, and then we'll just carefully drop that down. And our inclination is, I think, not going to be absolutely perfect, but it should be okay. Cool. Let's drop this periapsis a little bit. Ooh, that's sensitive. Okay. That was at 1% thrust, and then I took this up to, I think it was 8, is what I was targeting. 8% thrust there. So, 33 kilometers is what we've got, and that'll do. It is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to land on Elu. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings. And a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy Magar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Tommy Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video. And as always, I will see you all next time. Also, I just went through and unthrust limited and activated our engines again, just for the record.